Welcome to the Passive Income Podcast. I'm your host, Dividend Dave. Please be sure to join the Passive Income Posse by clicking that subscribe button below. Super excited for today's episode. Joining me is Dr. Farah Sutton, PhD, MBA, realtor, super smart and beautiful woman over there. Farah, please go ahead and give yourself an introduction.
Hello, thank you for the kind words. My name is Farah. I live in Phoenix. I'm your typical Phoenix, Arizona realtor, and I also co-founded a company with my daughter, the Molecules Company. So those are my two day-to-day activities and jobs.
Wow, that's amazing. Actually, interestingly enough, on the next episode of the Passive Income Podcast, I believe will be Danielle Levy, who is a realtor in Toronto. So it'll be a little bit interesting in these two episodes to see some of the uh, comparisons, contrasts, similarities, differences between real estate in Arizona and real estate here in Ontario. So yeah, maybe let's dive into a little bit of that. Like, I'm kind of guessing Phoenix is an expensive place for real estate, or I'm sure there's expensive areas of Phoenix.
Yeah, there's definitely, every market I think has like the high end as well as the less expensive homes. Phoenix used to be really cheap for real estate compared to a lot of other parts of the country. It still is, but less so than it used to be. Right now, the median home price is right around $433,000, which is down. It was above 450, in like a year ago in the summer, but prices have dropped a little bit, and so we're seeing that median go down. But mind you, it used to be in the 200,000s, right? So I mean, it's
Right.
gone up. It's gone up significantly. Pre-COVID, I think it was in the like mid threes. So I mean, prices have increased, and it's not as inexpensive as places in Texas. Although Texas does have the property tax issues that Arizona doesn't have.
Interesting. Yeah, that sounds very reasonable, like around the 400. Now, obviously, that's 400 US dollars.
Yes.
So I guess just for context, it's probably somewhere in the ballpark of 500 grand Canadian. And just sort of for a little bit of comparison, my house where I am, I'm 2 hours east of Toronto, so I'm in a very rural area near a very small city, and I have about a half acre property, small house, say 1,200 square feet, give or take. And yeah, I bought it 2 years ago at 409 Canadian. So
Mm.
um, it almost sounds like property in Ontario is a little more expensive than property in Arizona.
Yes. So, I mean, for that median price, you're going to get typically a three bed, two bath, in a subdivision with an HOA, smaller lot size, and, it'll be pretty standard.
Right.
It'll be more in the outskirts of Phoenix, so it'll be a suburb, but yeah.
And then I'm guessing there has to be those $1 million homes there too, like
Oh
every
yes,
city.
no. There's also, I mean, there's homes, in the $10+ million in Paradise Valley and parts of Scottsdale, and then some in Phoenix as well. Just depends on the area.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, but
Interesting.
it's hard to find anything for that. That's I would say that's move-in ready under 400,000 currently in this market. If you do, it goes really fast. Gosh, earlier this year I had it was one of an investment property, and it was like 215,000, and it went coming. I put it coming soon status on Friday, going to go active the next week, and we had full price offers on that Sunday, so it never actually technically even went live on the market, because those prices you just don't see, and that was an age restricted community. But anything that's livable under 400,000 moves very quickly.
I'm just going to quickly here give a shout out to today's sponsor. A very special thank you to Snowball Analytics for sponsoring this episode of the Passive Income Podcast. Snowball Analytics is an amazing online platform that supports automatic brokerage connections with over thousands of brokers from the US, Europe, UK, Asia, and more. With over 70 exchanges, you can track nearly any stock, ETF, or mutual fund on the planet. Snowball Analytics supports all major stock exchanges. You can add your holdings in multiple currencies: USD, CAD, euros, quids, Aussie dollars, and many more. and view your portfolio performance in your native currency. Sign up using the link in the description below and start using Snowball Analytics today. Thanks again to Snowball Analytics for sponsoring this episode of the Passive Income Podcast. Awesome. Let's keep going. And I, I'm sure we'll definitely talk more about real estate. But that's actually a nice little segue with the ad read there of
Yeah.
all those different brokerages and exchanges. And obviously, I know you want to keep this a little bit broad in general, but sort of, I guess, maybe even just a little bit about your investing strategy.
Yeah. All right. So a little bit of a story. So I um first got into kind of investing and everything in 2007, right? So, so
Great
I'm like,
timing, right?
that's great timing. Oh yeah. So I am the millennial that is like, graduated. I got my master's degree and coming out of the market and like, okay, so like this is, 2007. Here we are. Like got a job. I'm adjunct faculty teaching business courses and like putting a substantial, actually at that time, a substantial part of my paycheck into investing. So we just like went all in doing everything right. Um, and Arizona, the market was going great, like gangbusters. And so, the highest dividend stocks and everything returning was real estate. So of course, what did I have my largest allocation? 2007. So I got to experience firsthand that downfall where like I feel like I went back to zero. Everything I put in just completely wiped away. And that when 2008 and the housing crash happened. So that was the start of mine, right? So um it definitely kind of not soured, but it made me a little bit like, oh my gosh, I would just definitely, like I said, I felt like I did everything right. I listened to all these advisors and yada yada yada, and I came back to zero. So I'm definitely a little bit more cautious now, and right now I do mostly ETFs. I know a lot of people that I know friends that do individual stocks, and they make a lot more than me, but they also spend a lot more time on it than I do, right?
Right.
So I just do more of like a set it and forget it kind of like ETF strategy, and get the dividends from that and just move on with my life.
Yeah, well, and you're obviously a very busy woman as well, like running a company, being a realtor,
Yeah.
and whatever else you have going on in life. So that ETF strategy is probably very good for you, where you can, like you said, sort of that set it and forget it.
Mhm. Yes, no, it works out. And my daughter actually was looking at, so she has her first 401k and kind of like matching with her job. And so we were looking at that, and I was like, this is completely new. Like, I don't know. I mean, this is what I do, but none of those are the options. So it's been, relearning that. And it's one of those things you always should revisit. I always tell my friends, and like I've told my daughter, it's one of those things. It's okay to come back and check on it and see and adjust allocations as you feel necessary.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to go back to that 2007, 2008, 2009 time period because it was obviously quite the roller coaster, and especially in the US.
Yeah.
Canada was a little bit less affected by the housing crisis.
Mhm.
But obviously, when the US markets take a downturn, Canada just has to follow along. Obviously, geographically and
Yeah.
politically and economically, where the two countries are extremely interconnected. Um,
Mhm.
what I'm really curious about, though, is through that 2008 and 2009 downturn, did you take, like, physical losses, or did you just stick to your guns and hold? Because if you had a held now 15 years later,
Yeah,
hindsight
yeah.
being
Now, now would
2020,
have been
right?
no. So I took the losses, right? Like that's when I was one of those like, oh my gosh, it's going down. And honestly, I think I didn't sell on the way down. I think I was like at the bottom.
Yeah. Let's wait till this gets right to the very bottom so I can lose the most amount of money possible. You can
Yeah,
laugh at it now 15
I
some years
can.
later,
But
but
at the same time, yeah, but back in the day, it was such. I mean, it was a large chunk of my paycheck was going there, and so I'm just like, okay. So I know I am not an active and stock market investor, I guess, beyond the ETFs right now. And, I get it. It works for a lot of people, but, I prefer physical, tangible assets for the most part after
Right.
that experience that I have a little bit more control over. So,
Yeah, and like I said, hindsight is 20/20. It's easy to look back now and say, "Oh, if I had
yeah,
have just held it and the stock
exactly.
market all went back up, I would have been fine."
Yeah, no,
But of
and it's
course, you
all
don't think that at the time.
no.
It's uh, the fear and greed index that you see all the time, and obviously 2008 and '09 was the height of the fear on that needle, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, and I was 21, 22-ish at the time. So, I mean, it was just like, oh my gosh, I felt like I had to, pull out what I could at the time. But, obviously I should have held it. And it's cyclical. Everything is cyclical. And so it's, for me, I find that strategy is like what goes up, it'll, come back down, but it'll adjust. Like, right, it's a
yeah,
nice cyclical thing. That's how I feel about real estate now too. And everyone's like, oh, it'll crash. I said, yeah, but then, if you hold it for 15 years, I'm sure it'll be okay again too.
right. Well, and that's the other thing is that long-term mindset, right? And
Mhm.
again, when you're 21, 22 years old, it's very hard to see or have that long-term mindset. Whereas
Yes.
now when, um, I mean, before we started recording, you told me how old you are, and I'm like, I can't believe that, but
Yeah, thank you. But yeah,
you
so I mean, that long-term mindset, you definitely don't have it, but life's about living and learning, and definitely learned that there with my first little kind of foray into stocks.
right, right. And so you said again, I'm gonna kind of I don't want
Mhm.
to beat this to death, but I am very interested in that time period. You said uh, real estate. So was it a lot of like REITs that you had?
Yes.
Yeah, and obviously they were probably the most affected out of any
Yes.
sector of the stock market.
Yes. I mean, and then and part of it that too, and seeing not only the REITs, but then just being in Phoenix, like Phoenix and Las Vegas, I feel like we're almost ground zero for the housing crash last time. So it's just literally the sky was falling, right? And
Yeah,
that was the mindset at the time with prices just completely crashing, and then the REITs as well. And I was just, it's 21, 22, like, oh my gosh, this is welcome to the real world.
yeah, wow,
you know. So
wow.
yeah.
Okay, so
But
then
here
moving on, obviously, what's happened since then? I guess
yeah.
in your investing journey and in
Yeah.
your
So
life.
so since then, I mean, that was a long time ago. Since then, I have, taken different jobs. I worked in for private equity and government affairs, and I did that for like a decade, and went all over the world and lived in Singapore for a few years, and then I came back to the US, and now I wanted something a little bit slower and more time. So I got my real estate license, and the reason I actually got my real estate license was for investing. So I had a realtor. He's still a friend to this day. Nothing but nice things to say about him. But he went on vacation when I was trying to buy an investment property, which I get like no qualms, like now being on the other side of that. I see it, but at the same time, like I wanted a little bit more responsiveness when I was looking to buy. I was looking at this triplex in Tempe. Um, so I was sitting at this local cafe with my mom, and I was like, I think I'm gonna get my real estate license. 11 days later, I'm a licensed realtor. And at first, like that's all I was gonna do. I was just going to like do it for my own personal investments, the MLS. And it was so funny. I actually did an Instagram story. It was kind of like a life update. It's like my birthday had just happened, and I got my realtor's license like that same week. And so it was just like, oh, like birthday realtor, and someone's like, hey, can you sell my house? And I'm like, yeah, and I've been a realtor since. so
11 days. You are a
yeah,
determined woman. You put your mind to something and you do it
yeah,
quickly, apparently.
you can do it 9 days as fast as you can do it in the state of Arizona. So I did the course in 9 days. Day 10 took the school exam, passed that. Day 11, took the state exam, passed that. So COVID, lots of free time. That was my COVID activity. That was my
Wow.
skill. So
Wow, that's impressive. I had no idea that you could do it
yeah.
that quickly. I have no idea how it is in Canada if you can do it that quickly here as well, but
Yeah, I mean, most people take 3 to 6 months, to do the course, and I focused on it and made it my priority and just did it every day. So, I was fortunate enough to pass the exams the first time. So,
yeah, that's crazy. And
yeah.
then so that just kinda became your day-to-day routine
And
being a
that
realtor?
was my yeah, so, I've been very fortunate that that was my day to day, and that's my job. I get to pick and choose who I work with. The clients I enjoy working with, we do everything from residential, their residential investments as well as commercial. And then I've also done some development, like ground up hotel, ground up multifamily I've worked on. So I've really done like every aspect of, well, except for I would say like just land acquisitions is the only thing I really haven't done. But everything else I've done as far as like the underwriting development to commercial and just, want to buy a home.
That's another impressive story, like
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like because of my experience and my background in private equity, I've owned lots of real estate myself, and like in different states. That's why I know about the property taxes in Texas. I had a property in Houston. And then, here in Arizona, like my primary is, I paid that off. And I remember everyone talking about investing. It's like, why would you, pay off your mortgage when my interest rate I think was like 3.5, 3.7, right?
mhm,
But everyone's strategy is different, but for me, having that peace of mind of having that paid off, which you can't replace that. It gives me so much more flexibility on what I want to do. I feel like starting this company with my daughter, I don't know if I would have been as like gun ho about it if I had other things, like the mortgage, because it is taking away from doing real estate in my day to day.
right.
So
Yeah, let's talk about the company. It's called The Molecules?
the Molecules Company, yes. So it's a supplement company, and we expanded into wellness teas as well. So it's just the lifestyle dietary supplement and wellness tea. And really, it started. I love the benefits of supplements. So does my daughter. But we hate taking pills, right? And so I was looking for something that I was looking for a hyaluronic acid product that wasn't in a gummy because there's so much sugar, there's so much junk, and I couldn't find one. I was all over Amazon and just like Google looking. And then my daughter was like, and I was like, Kylie, we can't find anything. And she's like, we should just make our own. And we had that like moment of silence. We just like looked at each other. And I was like, I think you're onto something. And I'd actually helped a pharmaceutical. So again, like everything is interconnected, but there's a pharmaceutical manufacturing company here in the Valley, and I was actually the realtor for negotiating their commercial lease for their new facility as they were growing. So I reached out to them and talked to the pharmacist, the biochemist, and I was like, "This is what I want to do." And we formulated it, and yeah, that's how we came up with our first product, and we have now expanded into 5 different products. So it's been a year. We also what else did we do? We so this is not passive at all, right? Like has been a lot of work.
Right.
But we had a lot of capacity issues in the spring where we just couldn't keep it in stock. And so and here I have like the whole business, like the whole infrastructure of a business, and I have no product. And that does not sit well with me at the
No,
time.
it's a
So
good problem to have.
it's a great
Right.
problem. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's a great problem," until it's not, right? We won
Right, yeah.
the Tempe Chamber of Commerce Business Excellence Award, and it was so exciting. My parents were there when we went up on the stage and won the award with my daughter. And then, like that same day, so enjoying it for like an hour, and then I'm seeing all the orders come in, and then I'm like, that was the day we ran out of stock. So
Yeah, and that's yeah. Like, it's a
Yeah,
good problem to have, but it's not because you can't sell what you don't have, and obviously the whole point of a business is to increase your sales and increase
exactly.
revenue.
Well, and as a newer company, like with the wait list and everything like that, like, just the fulfill time is really important to us. So we figured out we became like we got registered as an FDA registered food and manufacturing facility, and we bought the machinery, and now the manufacturing is all done within our company, the molecules company. So it is gone from third party manufacturing to now we manufacture everything on our own as well too. So I think that's just a little bit of who I am and who we are. If we can't get it done quickly and easily on our terms, we're like, okay, we're gonna just figure it out and do it ourselves. And so that's
I am
that.
very curious a little bit more about that development process where, okay, right from the start of you and your daughter having
Mhm.
that almost sounds like a mini staring contest.
I know. It was like the light bulb went off, right?
And then so you were lucky enough to have these connections at a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah,
And
real
then so
estate.
just take us through that whole development process because I'm very, very curious about that.
Yeah. So I mean, I told them what I wanted. So our first product was 2 ounces. I should have a bottle, but 2 ounces replaces 5 pills. And what happens is like I wanted hyaluronic acid, and then I wanted magnesium and ginger and just some other things in there. But I didn't want any of the additives. And they're like, well, usually there's the preservatives and the additives and the flavoring and all this other stuff to make it what we see on the shelves. And I'm like, yeah, that's nice, but I don't want any of it.
Right.
But I still want it to be like decent tasting, right? Because at the end of the day, if it needs to be refrigerated, if it needs to be like this and that, like people are going to consume it. Our focus and our mission really is like self-care simplified. I'm busy. I am not going to be, scooping something out, taking something that's awful, like chuck, it's just that's not consistent. So for me, anyways. So we got
You
to
developed it with yourself as the consumer in mind. You're thinking,
oh yeah.
"Would I do I want this?"
Yeah, no, every this company, I mean, which is also really hard too, right? You have some of the brands, it's like, and I feel like a lot of e-commerce is like that. And there's nothing wrong where they market test. This is what the market wants, and I'm like, yeah, that's nice. This is what Farah wants, and that's the company. So it's a little bit different, and there's definitely been some growing pains by doing it that way. But at the same time, it's truly an authentic product that I, as the founder, and my daughter, as the founder, take every day. And I think there's some authenticity, and I think customers like that. Like some of our other products, like we have a matcha molecules, and it's literally 2 ingredients. It's Japanese matcha and collagen, nothing else. No additives, nothing to keep it so it doesn't, like, there's no sugar. And it's so hard in a single serve, so you don't have to scoop, right? And it's so hard to actually find something because if you go on Amazon, a lot of like the single serves, they all have sugar added. And I'm like, well, let's just find a product that doesn't taste bad without sugar, you know? So maybe it's a little bit more expensive and our profit margins aren't as high as, those other products, but it's something that I like. So that's what it is.
And did I catch that correctly that you just started this company like a year or so ago?
Yeah, a year, 2022. So yeah, it's right at a year, and we actually have just had product for a year. So we started the company, and then we started it in July, and then development, testing and everything like that. And we didn't actually get our product delivered till November. And I was there all the time. Usually, and that's because that's still pretty fast, right, for
Right.
product development. But because of that personal relationship through real estate and knowing them, um, and just showing up every day. I think that's there's something to be said for just consistency and showing up. And
Sure.
it's probably like their pain in the ass. They were like, okay, like let's just get this done so she'll leave us alone.
Yeah, but that's also good, right? That determination
Mhm.
and focus.
Yeah,
And
there's
so
definitely tenacity.
tenacity, yeah, that's another great word. So November of 2022, you had product for the
Right.
first time.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
just
And
over a
now
year.
Yes. So, we started 2023 with one product and now here we are at five. And so at the past 2 months, we've done events, kind of in person, like pop-ups, markets, and stuff like that. And we're averaging one unit sold every 5 minutes over like hours and hours. So yeah, well, I mean, I think our product has potential, and I think we're going to be working on how we can do everything right now has been organic, kind of like exposure, and we're going to get more into the paid side of it, paid ads, and
Right.
more promotional stuff like that. But yeah, I'm pleased with our numbers. We were not that at the beginning of the year, but now we're averaging one unit sold every 5 minutes, and actually at the most recent one, our average order value increased too. So
That's great. And then so in less than a year, you've already moved into your own manufacturing facility as well.
yeah, so we've got our own manufacturing, and then we have. I mean, it's just been. I'm buying the machinery. Everyone's just like, well, what, like real estate. Real estate has paid for it all. So I've been very, very blessed and fortunate that this market has done so well. But yeah, it's been a lot. So now, whenever I do a little bit of retail therapy, it's usually for machinery. And it's one of those things too, when we're a small business and we were able to change everything, like stevia, recently, well, about 4 or 5 months ago, it was originally in our product, and all this research came out because it used to be great, all healthy, right? Now there's some new research that it's not as great as we initially thought. And so we stopped production, and I was like, we got to get this out. Like, I don't, so we removed that. And then we had these, I had just ordered labels because, again, we were in production. So it was being produced, and then the labels were going to go on, right? So I have thousands of dollars of labels that are
That
now
say
worthless.
stevia on the label as an ingredient that you now
Yeah,
can't use.
and that are now worthless, right? And so it was a frustrating experience. So I was looking out to do the quotes, and we were trying to adjust, and then there was a holiday, so the timing was changing. So I bought a commercial label printer. So now we print all of our own labels, and it has been great because now we can like do test batches and we just have more flexibility
Right.
by vertically integrating. I know. So like some of my MBA classmates are probably like, less is more, but I'm going all in with vertical integration. So we're taking that approach, but it's been a process.
Yeah, there's definitely the two sides to that story. Like
Mhm.
either the less is more, or like you said, that vertical integration. And I think you can argue both sides of that all day long, right? And not really
Exactly.
come to a conclusion.
Yeah, exactly. I've found for our business, we my goal is to keep this as affordable as possible for as many people as possible. It is a business, but at the same time, I want that to be there. So by vertically integrating, we have been able to reduce costs so much that it just wouldn't be possible, at least at our scale. And because we're right now, our capacity is like 10,000 units a month. So you'd have to get to a huge scale for that to make more sense to
Right.
not outsource it.
And so are all of those sales 10,000 a month, 10,000 units a month? Is that all online sales, or do you have real retail partners as well?
So we're not at 10,000 units a month. I'd love to get there, but that's our
Okay.
current capacity.
Okay.
So right now we're online, and then we are not in retail. We do those like pop-ups and those markets and those kind of events like that too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
So
when are we going to see you on the shelves of CVS, Walgreens, Walmart?
yeah, I think our capacity actually has to be a little bit more for that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah, 10,000 a month isn't going to cut it for any of those, but we're getting there, and it's a process. Maybe I'd love like 2025, right? Realistically, I'd say next quarter, but realistically, we're like a year out. There's growing pains, but we're getting through it. So, and it's really cool. Something I started with my daughter, and she's a business student actually at university, and so it's been a fun kind of experience. What better way to learn about business than to have your own business? And I'm, like I said, very, very fortunate that I've been able to support her and do this with her. So,
So we're 30 minutes in already. This is called the Passive Income Podcast.
yeah.
And everything you do is not passive income. You're just
I
a
know.
hard worker.
I know. And so I do have, so for passive income, I do have a few streams. I mean, well, the dividends, like, that's technically, but it's not much. It's not something I can live off of. Then I do have like the domains, and it's hard to explain, but like they called it like digital real estate, but basically it's like the domains, and I lease those out, and because they generate leads, so I sell those. I mean, that's a few thousand a month,
That's pretty
and
good.
yeah, I mean, and then I literally do nothing. I forget about it half the time, and then like the direct deposit shows up. And then I have a drop shipping through Amazon, drop shipping company. So I do e-commerce outside of, my company, but yeah, and I don't manage that. That's all VA is doing that. Um, you know, it- there's some issues with that, in that you with Amazon and drop shipping, they do have every once in a while where you do get suspended if you have so many reviews or returns or whatever it is. Um, but that's something I do have. And um, now that is set up, that's so passive. I can't really, like, I don't really even know the intricacies of that. Like, yes, I have a login. Yes, I can do it, but like, it's literally just direct deposited. And sometimes I need to sign a form or something.
Yeah, those sound like two great forms of passive income, like just websites that are
Yeah.
generating leads. So
So
that's
they
helping
generate,
as well.
yep, and generate leads, and a VA calls and sells those leads. That's not me. And like I said, then I just get that money just direct deposited. And so those are two different sources. And like I said, then the dividends, which is not much, it's a few hundred a month, but it's something. And then what is the other one? And like I've had rentals in the past, and just stuff like that. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, amazing, amazing,
Yeah, so
amazing.
I mean, I think it's all about diversification, right? What is that typical saying that everyone says? Seven streams of income is what most millionaires have, and I think that's you can't have seven jobs, right? Like I feel
Right.
like sometimes I have wearing two hats, and sometimes and occasionally a third consulting hat, and that's too much. And so you really gotta stick with like two is all you can really do. Active 2, 3, I think is
Right.
maxing for active. So how do you get to the seven? They have to be passive.
Very passive. And yeah, the other saying, I think it's a Warren Buffett saying, is you need to figure out how to make money while you sleep, right?
Yeah, exactly. And selling leads with those domains is a great way to do that. Real estate, even real estate investing, anyone that's had tenants will tell you that it is not passive.
It's somewhat
You
passive, right?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, it depends if you have a property manager. Just there's different avenues. Some of my friends have property managers. They don't do anything, and so they're like, oh yeah, this is fully passive. It just depends how much of your cash flow you want to retain, and it also just depends how much cash flow like you actually have to hire a property manager, right? Um, Without just breaking even. My dad. He used to be a landlord in California. And so when I was, I told you I got my real estate license because I was looking at multifamily properties, and he was just like, make sure the rules aren't like California. So that was dad advice, because he was just like, oh no, he's like, I remember that. And this was back in the day too. He's like, I was so happy I got rid of all that stuff. That was a headache. That was not worth it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does have that. Now I feel like there's a lot of people that are doing, and I don't think it's as passive as like traditional like long-term rentals, but the Airbnb rentals, short-term rentals, you saw that too as a way to generate passive income. And but there's companies out there for that too. But it's been interesting. Some of those with the market change, that is not, some of those are now up for sale because they're not making money. So it'll be interesting to see.
I've actually talked to Lauren at Adulting
Mhm.
is Easy quite a bit
Yeah,
about real estate
he's
investing
great.
and
Yeah,
passive. Yeah, she is great. And basically, she's like, yeah, no, it's not 100% passive income, but I'm not working 40 hours a week on each of these
yeah,
properties, right? So I
yeah,
definitely get her point. Like maybe she puts in 3 to 5 hours a week total, or maybe 10 hours a week total,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and
So
it depends. Like, it's not, it's not even a consistently have to be 3 hours a week, but when there's something that's an issue, like
it's
it
an
can be,
issue.
it's an issue and it's consuming, right? And then, you don't think about it for 2, 3 weeks until it's just like, oh, direct deposit, or I have to go pick up a check.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, it's, real estate's great. I plan to buy more investment properties here in the next probably like 18 months is where I'm looking at right now. I've got college tuition and law school tuition coming up. So I've got, my discretionary funds are going other directions from investing, but that's where I'm looking for.
wow, law school. Your daughter's just as smart as you are, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been exciting. Law school, like a JD, PhD in economics. So I'm growing my own economist effectively. But yeah, and and so investing is always good, and I think it's good to always have a plan. But for me in the future, I want to get back to real estate investing, more so than stocks. Just it's just what I'm comfortable with.
Right,
And at the end of the day, that's whether it's my company or like my investing strategy, it's like how would I like use this, and how would I interact with it. And maybe that's not the best strategy, but it's the strategy that's worked for me. So I never did like the Airbnb properties. I mean, I remember like 2020, even 2021, like everywhere you looked on like Twitter or X, like those returns are amazing. And there's some people that are still doing that, right? For investments. But like I think I've stayed in an Airbnb like 1 or 2 nights ever. And so it wasn't something that it's not a product I'm familiar with. And so I don't, it didn't seem like that was the best strategy for me because, I'm not the end user. I wouldn't know how to do it as well. I mean, there's ways to learn, of course, but
right.
that's.
I've tweeted this out several times that I've thought about building a tiny home Airbnb in my backyard.
Yeah.
And obviously, you get tons of responses sort of giving you both sides of like, well, first, what are the rules in your municipality and all of
Yeah.
that? And then, like, real estate location, location, location. Are you close enough to anything to people want to actually stay in your area? And
Yeah.
then, like, why would people want to stay in your backyard? And like, I don't know. And then, also it's like at my age, it's like, am I comfortable taking on more debt to finance that?
Yeah.
Probably not really, to be honest. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting conversation though about um, buying or building or having an Airbnb short
Yeah.
term rental.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you can make an argument either way, and it just depends on the specific situation. I personally um, like to have no debt or low debt. I mean, leveraging is important. It's how you grow, and it is necessary. But I'm definitely more conservative on the debt side of things than some people.
Right.
So, but and it's okay. Like it's at the point, like, am I ever going to make as much as those people that are willing to just like leverage, out of their eyeballs? Like, no, but I'm okay,
Yeah.
like a little bit less risk and a little bit less reward. Like that works for me. And I think it's about knowing yourself and knowing your investment strategy and what you're comfortable with.
Well, and that comes right back to personal finance is personal. It's what works for you, right? And what
Yeah,
works for you might not work for the next person, but kind of stay in your own lane and make sure that you're comfortable with what you're doing.
exactly, exactly. And so that's for me, where I'm at with that as far as like choosing real estate over stocks too, as far as my investment strategy. But Airbnb and like some of the short-term rentals, it feels like maybe doing that would be almost a better, I don't know if you're near an attraction, but maybe a long-term situation, like a long-term rental might be what that tiny home would be more useful for.
Right. Well, and I've thought of that too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm not near any real attractions because I'm in a rural area, but
Yeah.
I am kind of close in all directions to a lot of different things, right? So
Yeah.
that's would kind of be the selling point, like sort of within that 30 to 45-minute drive in pretty much all four directions.
Okay, yeah. So in our community, so short-term rental is not allowed. And it's so funny that but of course, if you go on, you find a ton of them, right? And I was actually speaking to one of the at an HOA meeting. I was speaking with one of the owners that has short-term rentals, and I was just like, well, you're getting a fee every month. He's like, it's a cost of doing business fee. I price it into like my price. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, it's interesting how it's changed the market and changed, housing. I was selling a house. This was in Scottsdale, and they did not allow short-term rentals. Right, from a short-term rental standpoint, this house was worth 900,000, and but I think it sold for, gosh, it was years ago, but it sold for more around 700,000 because it did not allow that. If you could make
Right.
income off of it, and that was the difference, right? So
I
they
am
really,
also curious.
yeah.
You definitely said you're leaning more towards real estate investing in the future,
Mhm.
but are you still going to kind of uh, put a little bit aside here and there into the stock market?
Yeah, and I do monthly. It's not,
Not
you
your
know, I
primary focus.
yeah, it's just like more the minimum, and I do monthly, and my daughter has the Roth and everything. We do the traditional as far as that goes, and I think it's important. Um, but that is not going to be how I have my retirement in the future, right?
Right.
And I just got to be realistic about that too. It's just, so that's why I'm looking at other avenues for me to have something to live off of if I, don't want to do real estate as much, or if I enjoy traveling, or if I just want to travel some more. That's one thing about what I do is if I'm not working, I'm also not getting paid, right? So having something outside of that works too.
Right.
So
Awesome.
yeah. So what's your future investment strategies? Have you thought about where you want to go for 2024?
I just keep dollar cost averaging into a lot of the same dividend paying stocks that I
Mhm.
currently have. Probably reducing my position in the REIT sector,
Yeah.
simply because I'm overexposed, and obviously, REITs took a hit these last year, 2 years with the
Yeah.
inflation rates rising. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And also, I kind of want to um, narrow, like, whittle down my positions. I'm at around 25, give or take, and I'd like to get that somewhere between 15 and 20, I think.
Yeah.
And with that said, too, there's more positions like that are always on the watch list that you just like, oh, I'd like to have that too. I'd like to have that too, right?
Yeah. No, I feel like that. Like, spending time on Twitter or X, like I see everyone that has, their different stocks and their positions, and I'm like, huh. And, like, I think about it like for
Yeah,
half a second, and then my mind goes to someplace else and back to work. But I'm like, I should spend more time on that. It's really a great resource to see what other people are doing, and to learn and give you just some ideas on where to even research and look for more.
yeah, exactly. And that's another one too. Exactly what you just said about Twitter/X is, so currently all of my stocks and ETFs are in the TSX, the Toronto Stock Exchange. So
Okay.
everything's Canadian.
Yeah.
But I'm always seeing these tweets about like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Home Depot,
Yeah.
McDonald's, Walmart, Costco, Waste Management, like all these amazing, incredible US companies. And I'm just like, oh, wow, I really should have some, I really
Yeah.
need exposure in the US. And then obviously I'm also looking at something like SCHD, where it's like, well, that's just a really nice basket that has a lot of those companies that I just mentioned, if not all of them,
Mhm.
right? So,
Yeah, exactly, it does, or most for sure. Yeah, because 'cause I'm thinking you were saying that, I was like, "Yep, that's my ETFs, I know that." They're all in there, it gives you some nice diversification, smaller dividend than doing some of the individuals, but diversification is important, and that's awesome.
right. Yeah. I do want to bring up the websites
Yeah,
related to what we've been talking about,
okay,
and
yeah,
obviously all of your websites will be in the link in the description below.
okay,
Just give me 2 seconds here
no
to
worries.
get, I guess we'll go to real estate first.
Yeah,
I just need to do that. There we go, real
yeah,
estate.
it's me. Yep, so with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, it's one of the, largest, brokerages here in Arizona, and, actually, it's so for our office, which is the Camelback office in Phoenix, Arizona, I was within the top 10 for 5 months of this year, for 5 of the 12 months this year. So it's It's been a good year for me.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
There's one of those, 1.6 million.
1.6, yeah, and, you know, you would probably maybe be I haven't seen the interior, but just looking at it, 1.6, you know, you'd probably be a little bit, underwhelmed on it. That's probably not updated as far as what you're getting for that, and I'm sure it's a beautiful home in a great location, but it's probably not gonna be updated for that price point.
I like this, the wooded area.
Yeah, Munns Park, that's in Flagstaff, so that's about an hour and a half away. Munns Park is great. You see a lot of people in Phoenix with discretionary income have property up in Flagstaff and Sedona for our summers. You know, they're excruciatingly hot, and so you get
Right.
away. Like for instance, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Arizona, but in Flagstaff and Sedona and some northern Arizona, we actually get snow, and we have a little ski resort in
Right.
Flagstaff. So you know, yes, we have 120-degree summers, but an hour and a half away, you can ski in the winter. So,
Yeah, people don't associate Arizona with, skiing and snowboarding.
yes, no, but it's there.
So
And then
these
there's
3 pictures right here, the first thing that I see is I don't have to mow the lawn.
yes, a nice desert landscape, right? Yeah, just occasional weeding, desert landscaping is in. You'll see probably articles about the water issue in Arizona.
Right.
Um, So for new development, you know, there's 100-year water. You have to make sure that the water is there and you have access to it for before you can build new developments here. And Scottsdale, for instance, is saying no grass for new homes and new landscaping.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You see a
Why
lot of
water grass when you don't have the water to do it, right?
yeah. Yeah, so I have grass in my house and I absolutely love it. I love the real grass. I used to have the artificial turf. And personally, there's something to be said about real grass. It's cooler for the animals like that are outside, the birds, the cats, the little, you know,
Mhm.
uh, critters and kids play in it more. But I do see that. Yep, there's a condo.
You have tons of listings here.
Oh, those some of those aren't mine. Those are the brokerages. I have two active listings right now. One is a Scottsdale condo. We did pass it. That is a beautiful. It's a beautiful property. It has get this. This is it has a walking 9-hole golf course on property. It has an art studio, a ceramic pottery studio, and a full woodworking shop. So I'm
Wow.
it's really cool. That's not usual for a condo. And then I have in Goodyear, Arizona. So Scottsdale is on in the East Valley, and then about 45-50 minutes away, I have another listing in Goodyear. It's a nice single family home, 4 bed, 3 bath, and that one is like 475 right now is what it's listed for. So it's just above the median, but that's a good idea of what a median home looks like, and it's a remodeled and it's beautiful. But yeah, that is the Arizona market. You see lots of golf, lots of desert.
Right. Is this
Uh,
the Phoenix skyline?
that is the Phoenix skyline.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very pretty. So
Okay, and then
yep,
there we go. So,
yeah, we can
self-care simplified. This is the molecules.
company. Yeah, yeah. You can close out the subscribe thingy and see the or right, yeah.
There we
Okay.
go. Sorry.
No, yeah. Yep, that's our website. So we've got this is the home, we've got supplements, we've got wellness teas. And so there's the youth molecules. There's the first product that started it all.
Right here.
Yeah. And then
Spice of
our
life.
spice of life tea, that's actually a family tradition. It's kind of our take on chai. I think it's better. It doesn't have the same bite chai has. And then that's collagen. That's pure collagen. It's 4 different types of collagen, but no additives, no fillers. It's not common that you see, and it's individual. So much of collagen, you go to Target or wherever, and it's you have to scoop it out. It's messy and it's just not,
Right. And then
So
there's
anyway,
the matcha.
there's the matcha, yep. And then we have an R&R tea. It's our some of my, yeah. So and we have a sample pack for those that are wanting to
Try them
try
all.
Yeah, try them all. And you can see from our price point, like we really try to keep it so it's reasonable and
Right. Oh, yeah.
so
As
yeah.
low as $5, and
Yeah.
then $21 gets you a little bit of everything.
Yep. So, and our reviews have been like pretty amazing. So, and yeah. So, why we
Biggest
have a
improvements I've noticed so far are my joints feel much better and greater mental focus.
yeah. Well, and it's one of those things, like I said, I take, and I think I did a tweet about it the other day, like where I had 3 or 4 of the different products, right? In that day, I think I started the day with collagen. I always have the youth molecules, and then I had the matcha because I was tired, and then I had the R&R at night. So I had four or 5 products in one day, right? So it's really just stuff I consume. And my grandma takes the collagen product in her coffee in the morning, and so every single product I can tell you a family member that uses it and how they benefit. And like I said, when you're putting this into your body yourself, and when you're putting it into your family's body, like you're not just putting junk in there. You want it to be the best there can be. So
Right, and this is kind of like a link tree where it just
yeah,
has links
this
to.
is a link tree, but it's farahsutton.com. So I've got, real estate, a supplement company, some articles. I actually need to update that because I've have some more articles now that I'm looking at it. But yeah,
Nice.
it's been you know,
And then
it's been good. Life is good. That's my Twitter. So Twitter X is my favorite social media platform. I actually do more business off of Instagram and Facebook, but this is me having fun over here.
yeah, at Dr. Farah Sutton.
Yeah.
I love this profile pic. A nice, big
Thank
beer.
you. Yeah. Yeah, my tea. That's me holding the Spice of Life tea. Just
Oh, I thought it was a beer. It looks like beer.
No, that's my tea. So that was actually that was just taken in my home in our video game room. So I was drinking tea, watching TV, and just got a photo, and just like, oh, whited out the background, and that's it.
Awesome. Amazing. All of those links will be in the description below. Definitely give Farah a follow on Twitter/X. Amazing interaction over there. Like you said, it's my favorite social media platform as well. So,
Yes.
um, just a few more things before we wind down and sign off.
Yeah.
First, is there sort of anything else that you want to say or mention? Just sort of open floor.
Yeah, I think as far as passive income goes, like it's such a great thing to do, and I know personally I'm striving to do more of it. I had more in the past, and just due to life situations and changing, I'm trying to get back into doing more of it. Um, but there's always so many different ways. Everyone thinks about stocks and real estates, but there's other opportunities too, like with the selling leads online with the domains and drop shipping. So do some research, see what else is out there, but always I always caution people to do your due diligence first and make sure if it's too good to be true, it probably, might be a
It
scam.
definitely is.
So yeah. So, just with that, take everything with a grain of salt and realize people are showing you the best side of them. But as far as like the passive income goes, but there's different options out there. So, and like I said, it works. I mean,
Right. Okay, and then one more thing.
yeah.
Totally not investing or business or real estate or anything like that related, but I'm Canadian, as
Mhm.
everyone is well aware, which means hockey, 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 and especially this time of year. And
Yeah.
you being in Arizona, Phoenix,
Mhm.
what are
Yeah.
your thoughts and opinions on the Arizona Coyotes?
Okay, well, I used to be a competitive figure skater, so my thoughts on hockey players in general is that you guys mess up the ice. Because I'm from Washington, so
Washington State.
Washington State. So I did competitive. I did competitive skating growing up, and coaches competition. Anyways, the Coyotes. I don't really follow them. I think I've been to maybe two games. I've been here for better part almost 20 years, and I've been to 2 games. So I don't know. I know they're having a lot of stadium issues. At first they were in Glendale, and now they're currently at ASU at what is it?
The Mullet Arena where they
Yeah,
play in front
Mullet
of.
Arena. I was like the name. I was like I kept wanting to, yeah, the Mullet Arena. So I went to one game there. I don't have any more insight than that. I'm sorry, but stop messing the ice up for figure skaters.
It actually sounds like that Mullet Arena at the university is only seats something like 5,000 spectators,
It's small. It's a lot smaller than the Glendale one was.
but it sounds like it would actually be a fun place to watch a hockey game.
Yeah, it was good. The it was definitely smaller, but it was fun. I felt like the food was more expensive than it was at Glendale. I mean, I have Cardinal season tickets, so I'm used to overpriced like
Yeah, stadium pricing, right?
yeah, but overpriced food at the stadium. But it felt like even more expensive than usual there. But it was a fun time. So also the parking situation was better than most, and better than it was in Glendale.
So the Arizona Cardinals, let's just keep on the sports topic for a minute.
Yeah.
It, at one point, was there not both a football and baseball team called Arizona Cardinals?
I don't. I know because it's the St. Louis Cardinals. Is the
I,
baseball team?
okay, maybe. I don't know. I do follow baseball enough. I should
Yeah.
know that, but
No, we have the Diamondbacks.
right. Arizona Diamondbacks are the baseball team there now.
Yeah, yeah. So we've got that, but the Cardinals is it's tough to be a fan sometimes. Although our next game, you're going to see me in a Seahawks jersey. Um, I wear my Cardinals jersey except for when they play the Seahawks, and then it's Seahawks green. So
Yeah, so a little bit of hometown there from your home state of Washington.
yes, definitely. So cool.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on and spending
Yeah.
time with me on this episode of the Passive Income Podcast. I truly appreciate your time. It's been an amazing conversation. Totally loved learning more about the real estate market in Arizona.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just been an incredible conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a great time.
And just one final shout out. Thank you again to Snowball Analytics for sponsoring this episode of the Passive Income Podcast. If you are still here nearly an hour later, please be sure to hit like and subscribe.